Hi, I'm Elizabeth with MamaCanDoIt.com, and today I want to show you how to make a reversible baby romper, or you might even hear them called short alls. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to put your pattern pieces together. I put mine together already. I have a shorts back piece, I have a shorts front piece, I have a bodice front piece, and I have a bodice back piece. So then what I went ahead and did was I cut one bodice front piece out of one fabric, and then I also cut one out of a matching fabric. Let's set those aside. I cut one bodice back piece out of the fabric and a matching bodice back piece out of another one. Then what I did is I cut two front shorts out of one type of fabric, and I did the very same thing with the reverse. I cut two, and when I say that, you can tell with this fabric that they mirror each other. So you'll see this is the back and this is the front. It's really important that your short pieces do mirror each other. So both of these are fronts. They mirror each other perfectly. And then I did the same thing with the backs. So both of these pieces here are back pieces and they mirror each other. And then these here are also both back pieces, and as you can see, they also mirror each other. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is sew together the crotch areas. And basically how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my back pieces, put them together with the wrong sides facing each other, and I'm going to sew along the crotch curve and go all the way up to the top. I'm going to do that at 3/8 of an inch of a seam allowance, but I'm also going to do that with both back pieces. So this one as well, all the way up this front here, as well as the front pieces. So the back and the front pieces, I'm going to be sewing along that crotch curve and all the way up to the top, where the top will meet the bodice pieces eventually. So with all four of these sets, I'm going to hit up the sewing machine and I'll be right back. Okay, so I was at my sewing machine and I sewed all of the front pieces together with the right sides facing each other. And I also sewed the back pieces together, which are these, with the right sides facing each other. Now what I'm going to do is I actually did not mark which ones were which, so I'm just going to use my pattern to determine which pieces I have here. So this is my front. So what I'm going to do then is open it up so that the seam is facing down, and what I have is my finished shorts front. Then I'm going to lay my front piece on top of it, right across it, just like this. And I'm going to put the right sides together, and then what I'm going to actually do is sew this on there so that then it will be one piece like that when I'm done. So I'm going to go do that with this one and with my other front piece, which I believe is this one, and the other bodice piece, which is here. And then I'm also going to do the very same thing with the back pieces, exactly the same way. I'm just going to open it up. I'm going to sew my back bodice piece onto it just like that, and of both pieces. And I'm going to make sure that my right sides are together so that when I open it up, it will be facing the right way. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I sewed the bodice pieces onto the shorts. I did that for both of the front pieces here, and I did that for both of the back pieces here. Now what we have are 4 pieces total. We have 2 front pieces and we have 2 back pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to put each of the front pieces together, and then we're going to put each of the back pieces together. Now how we're going to do that is put the right sides together, like how I'm doing this, and then what we're going to do is we are going to sew along all of the curved edges on the top of the bodice, and then we're going to sew the bottom of the shorts. We're going to line up that crotch area just like this, and we'll sew across that, and then we'll sew across the other side of the shorts. Now, something I do want to mention is either on the front piece or the back piece, in fact, let's do it on the back piece. When we sew across that bottom and then the crotch and then the other leg, on one of the legs, I want you to leave about a 3-inch opening that you don't sew. It's really important that that is what we do, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Okay, so what I've done is I've sewn all the way around the top edges of both the front pieces and the back pieces, as well as the bottom of the legs of the shorts, the crotch area. I just stopped, made a turn, come around to the other side, and then the same thing with the front. I did leave a 3-inch opening in one of the legs of the back piece, and it's important that we do that. Now, what I'm going to do is, before I turn these right side out, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to snip about every 1/2 inch or so, almost up to that seam on any of the curved portions, and this will make turning it right side out much easier. Okay, so what I have done is I've turned both the back piece and the front piece right side out after I snipped along all the edges, and then I gave it a good press with the iron. Now, another thing that I did that I do need to show you is at the bottom of the back piece where I have my 3-inch opening, I folded that inside of itself and ironed that flat as well. So it really is going to be really easy to finish. I won't have to worry about tucking odd angles or anything like that. So when I press the whole thing, you can see I've also got quite the angle going on for the crotch area, and that's really important. So now what I'm going to do is, even though they're right side out and these are pressed really nicely, I am just going to, through the side, I'm just going to turn this inside out, the front piece, but I'm not going to worry about pushing the bodice outward at all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck the back piece inside of itself. Now what I want my green to match up with the green on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my back piece inside of the front piece like that, so that my green is touching the green and my blue is touching the blue. And if you look here, what it's actually going to do is I'm basically making a tube. So I can actually stick my arms right through it. I've got my front pieces touching each other right here, my green piece and my back piece that are green, and then I've got my back piece of the blue and the front piece of the blue touching each other as well. And I'm going to line up both sides so that my seams all match up. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to sew this tube together all the way around this tube here, and I am going to sew completely shut on this side, and I'm going to sew completely shut on this side. That 3-inch opening that we left in the back piece, that is how we're going to turn it right side out. So go ahead and sew this whole tube and this whole tube. I'll be right back. Okay, so what I have done is I have sewed both halves together, sewed around the side of this one and the side of this one here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate that 3-inch opening, and I'm going to turn my whole piece right side out. Just like that. So now you can see the romper taking shape. So the next step is going to be to sew a finishing stitch along the entire perimeter of this neckline. So I'll start in the armpit area and go all the way around about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge until it's done there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. It kind of looks like a dress right now, but I'll explain it better in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start probably at the seam here, and I am going to go all the way around 1/8 of an inch. That's also going to close this 3-inch opening when I sew that edge right there, and I'm going to sew all the way around. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're at our very final step. I've gone through and sewn an 1/8 inch seam along all of the edges of the shorts bottom as well as the top. Now what we have to do is take this flat piece on the inside of the shorts, and we are actually going to be marking them for snaps. And so then what we'll do is we'll be able to snap it shut just like this, and so it'll make it really easy for diaper changes for baby. So how we're going to do this is I'm just going to lay it out flat, and you might even be able to see that I've actually already marked it. But then I'm going to take my little ruler and I'm going to measure it, and it should be right about 4 inches. And it is. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is with the ruler I'm going to flatten out this piece right here against it. And then at the 1/2 inch mark, about a 1/2 inch up, I'm going to make a mark. At 1.5 inches, I'm going to make another mark. At 2.5 inches, I'm going to make another mark. And at 3.5 inches, I'm going to make another mark. These 4 marks are going to be my snap placement. Now, I also need to do the same thing with the other part of the crotch area. And so again, just laying this down right by my ruler, I'm going to make a mark at 1.5, at 1/2, at 1.5, 2.5, and at 3.5. And so they're about 1 inch apart. And then I'm going to attach my snaps so that this can be folded down and right onto here. So what that means is that the stud snaps will actually be facing up in the front, and they will be facing up as if it's laying flat like this. The female snap will be facing upward as well on the back part. Then what we're going to do after I get those done is look at the top here of my romper, and then I'm going to use my ruler, which has a dial thing on it, and I'm going to put it down at 1/2 inch, and then I'm just going to lay it right here on each corner, and at 1/2 inch, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I've already marked them, but at 1/2 inch from each tip I'm going to make a mark. So there will be a mark on both tips of the front, and then there is a mark on both tips of the back. And so then again I will have my snap facing upward, and then these will also be facing upward to be able to snap into place down like that on the shoulders. Okay, so what I have done is I attached the stud snap here, which is the stud side up and the cap on the green side, and then I've attached the sockets here, and this is socket facing up, and it is cap on the blue side. So then they can just fold right over nicely like that. And then I did the same thing on the crotch area with it all laid flat. It looks like everything is facing up. So I've got my studs here on the blue side, and they are stud facing up. And then I have my sockets here on the green side. And then when I do a diaper change for baby, I will simply just fold this back up over itself like that. So it's nice and flat there. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.